If you want to fix the way that you throw on the mound, start by fixing the way you warm up. And these are the top 5 most common faults I've seen athletes make in the warm up that hurt how they throw on the mound. Now, before we go ahead and dive in, my name is Anthony Rodriguez, coach and founder of Versatile Athletics, where we've helped athletes from the high school, the Division 1 level, and the professional level increase their velocity, move pain free, and get the recognition that they deserve by helping them understand how their bodies naturally prefer to move. Now, what are these 5 common faults that I've constantly seen across different athletes when they're starting up their warm up? Now, fault number 1 is when you guys start foam rolling. And I know we're kind of like in the hurry of trying to get ready, but the truth is that the way that a lot of athletes foam roll is quite simply doing nothing to their tissues. You're not applying any changes to the tissues because of how fast you're rolling. You constantly see athletes just kind of like, if you're rolling up for the upper half or for your upper back, you're kind of rolling super, super quick for like 5 seconds. And then you go and roll out the pec. It's super quick as well. The lats as well. Everything is happening fast. Now, the problem with that is that you're never allowing for the object that you're using to actually penetrate the muscle and release those adhesions, release or inhibit that matted tissue or trigger point to actually apply change on the fascia so that you're able to use that and you can hydrate the tissue then. A common rule that I have for that is when you guys are foam rolling, per 1 inch of muscle, spend around 5 seconds-ish or so. And after you spend those 5 seconds within that 1 inch of the muscle, then move on towards the next inch of a muscle. Overall, you should be foam rolling for a single area between 1 minute to 2 minutes, but it shouldn't be as quick as possible. It should merely be as slow as possible, where you're allowing the tissue to actually, or where you're allowing the ball to penetrate the tissue. Once you hit a trigger point, you can stop there and get some extra movements in there just to hydrate the tissue. Now, number 2, in warm-ups, when athletes are throwing their plyo balls, they tend to cut the ball. And what I mean by cutting the ball is that they're throwing on the opposite or on the glove sidearm of their body. The reason why this is bad is because if you're already cutting the ball in warm-ups doing plyo drills when you're supposed to be working on proper sequencing, guess what else is going to happen? You're going to go ahead and bring that onto regular catch play, and you're more than likely going to do it on the mound as well. So a good cue for that is always throw head height and arm side. That is exactly where the ball should be going. The ball is never released right in front of you. The ball is never released right across you. Once you start to release head height and arm side, you will notice that your trunk movement will change and your arm spiral will also change as well. Fault number 3 is short arming the ball. And this normally happens when athletes are too close towards the target, where they're maybe 4 or 5 feet away from the wall itself. Now, since they're so close, they can never get extended through the arm motion to actually create that extension through the wall. So what you guys can do then is you can get anywhere from 10 to 15 feet away from the wall so that you can actually get that extension from the arm and finish through the wall or through the fence or whatever plyo wall it is. So you can continue getting that extension, because if you start short arming everything there, it's also again going to show up in catch play, and it's also going to show up on the mound. You're not going to be finishing and giving the extension that those pitches need to make them filthier or get a little extra 2 to 3 miles an hour behind it. Fault number 4 is that athletes aren't throwing with intent. And intent doesn't have to be 100% intensity. Intent just has to be a pure purpose behind what you're doing. Sometimes, athletes kind of tend to go through the motions and just do things with no purpose at all. And then once they're throwing regularly in catch play and the mound, it's when they're actually starting to ramp things up. And what you guys need to know and understand is that when we're throwing plyo ball drills, it is to potentiate, to prepare us for the next stage. Now, if we're preparing for the next stage, lazy and just kind of going through the motion, we're not going to be prepared for that stage, and we're quite simply just wasting our time with what we're doing. So you don't have to throw at 100% intensity, but you have to do it with enough intent that you're actually retraining your motor patterns and you're activating those motor patterns to be able to prepare for what's to come next. Now, the last fault is really how you guys are warming up. I've noticed a lot of the athletes come in many different ways, shapes and form. That's included with their motor preferences, anatomical limitations, you know, how their bodies feel, hypermobile, non-hypermobile. And you know, some athletes tend to do a little bit too much of one thing that doesn't necessarily help them, and other athletes do too much of another thing that doesn't necessarily help them. So I'll give you guys a two example. You can have a regular athlete that is not hypermobile, just, you know, lacks mobility. That athlete would to some extent need to stretch a little bit more, where an athlete who is hypermobile does not need to stretch as much, does not need to do as much tissue preparation. Instead, that athlete needs to activate, do a lot more activation than the other athlete has. So here's like a nice like framework that I love to bring my athletes through, especially those that need to stretch much. Number one, you want to inhibit the tissue or prepare the tissue, hydrate the tissue in three different ways set. So that is where you start with the foam rolling, different parts of the body, those parts of the body that you're going to be using. After you do that, then you want to raise your body temperature. You can do things like A skips, maybe some shuffle steps, you know, skips or arm hugs, a light little jog. After that, you want to go ahead and mobilize the body, upper half, lower half, different limbs, etc. After you're done with that, you want to go ahead and do joint mobility. So this is when we can grab the long bands and we can do banded distraction. This is just to create more mobility within the joints to allow us to get into those positions and ranges that we need. After you do that, you can go ahead and then activate the tissues that we're going to be needing, or just activate and integrate the whole entire body. Once that is done, then we finish with potentiation, which is exactly our throw and drill. So that's one sample of a warm-up. Now for somebody who is hypermobile, something that I would do with them is, number one, hydrate the tissue with the foam roller. Just let them do whatever they need to do, you know, whatever they feel like they need for that given day. After that, you want to raise their body temperature, not necessarily mobility, but you can get a little mix of mobility, maybe 4 to 5 different exercises. Right after that phase, everything we want to do after that is strictly activation. So activation can come in different ways for them. Number one, you can start with isometric holds, then you could go into eccentric portion of different exercises, and then you can implement somewhat of a concentric exercise. After you're done with that phase of activation within the isometric, eccentric, and concentric, then you go into the potentiation phase, and that is the throw and drills aspect. So hope this helps you guys. If you guys notice that from warm up into catch plate, you've technically not been throwing to the best of your capabilities, then you want to go ahead and look at what's actually happening before that, because a lot of issues could be prevented if you actually look at the way that you're starting to ramp yourself up, the way that you're rolling into those next steps. You're more than likely doing one of those 5 or maybe a couple of more from those 5s, common faults that a lot of athletes are making, which is negatively affecting you on the mound. Now, hope this was able to help you guys, and if you guys are looking for an individualized approach that is going to help you understand how your body prefers to move to increase velocity, and maybe some of these warm-up stuff where you actually want a professional to guide you to through what exactly you need to do and not have you lost, go ahead and book in a call with us down below in the description. We'll see if we can help you, and we can definitely talk about what that will look like training with us together. And as always, I'll see you guys on the next one.